Welcome to the Sowing Seed Podcast. One guy's thoughts on family, faith, farming, and financial freedom. Now, here's your host, who incidentally doesn't believe in Bigfoot, but Bigfoot believes in him, Matt Miller.
4 years ago, my coach at the time, Aaron Walker, good friend of mine. For those of you that don't know Aaron, he started the company View from the Top several years ago. He heads up the Iron Sharpens Iron mastermind groups. And if you go back to one of my previous episodes, you can check out more about, actually it's SSP episode 39. You can check out more about masterminds and the value of them and why I joined one. Anyway, Aaron gave me a call 4 years ago and said, Matt, I'm going to this thing called Social Media Marketing World. Do you want to go with me? Well, I barely had a Facebook page at that time, guys. I think I just set up a LinkedIn profile before going to that event in San Diego with Aaron. I had no idea why I was going, except for the fact that he said, let's go do it. Let's check it out. And I realized that social media was coming, that it was the wave of the future. And with a growing company, School Spirit Vending, I needed to better understand the social media landscape. So we took the trip to San Diego. I'll never forget, I guarantee you, Aaron was scratching his head for the first full day. I had figured out exactly what breakouts and what talks and workshops that I was going to go to, and I had it mapped out for the whole thing. And for a while, he dutifully kind of went with me as we were there together. But slowly but surely, I saw him work that conference, and it completely changed my mindset about the power of conferences and events like that. You see, at that conference, people like Guy Kawasaki, people like Chris Brogan, Dan Miller, Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, Ray Edwards, the list goes on and on and on. Folks that are the all-stars in the social media and online world are there, and they're just wandering around the conference for several days, just like everybody else. On top of that, there was, 1,500 or so attendees as well. So the networking opportunity, the opportunity to develop relationships with people that we've never developed or never could in any other way was huge. In fact, Aaron had a plan of writing a book and releasing a book in a couple of years. And so he utilized the conference, part of it anyway, to get to know some folks who had written books and who were well known, and to learn from them while he was there and begin to develop that relationship with them. Now, don't get me wrong, I learned a bunch at that event, and a lot of it we began to utilize with SSV, and much of it has been foundational today in what we do as far as marketing our program to schools and marketing what we do to prospective franchisees around the country as well. But what Aaron taught me more than anything is the power of relationships and the power of networking, which is really what those events are all about. You see, I could go back any time later and I could listen to any of the workshops again, audio, and in some cases watch them video with my ticket. I never did that, by the way, though I told myself I was going to. But it's the relationships that put me in a completely different sphere and have enabled us to accomplish some amazing things because I went to that event. Now, I could have never predicted in my wildest dreams who I was going to meet, the value of my meeting them, etc. I just had to step out on faith and realize that if I'm willing to go, I'll grow and good things will happen. So as an example, I became a podcaster because of that event. I had listened to a few shows previously, but not a lot. And after the event was over, we ran into Cliff Ravenscraft, who is by many thought of as the father of podcasting audio. And we ended up running into him, inviting him to dinner, ended up having dinner with him after the event was over there in San Diego. That dinner led to me being part of his podcasting A to Z course about a month and a half later. And 2.5 months later, I launched my first podcast for the School Spirit Vending franchise team. It's a private show. And I soon thereafter launched the School Zone School Fundraising Ideas podcast as well. All because I met Cliff Ravenscraft at that event. I met John Lee Dumas face-to-face at that event and began to develop a relationship with him and have had an opportunity to share with his audience on his show. I met Pat Flynn at that event and several others in the next couple of years. That relationship led to he and I having lunch one day with my daughter Sarah, which led to me having an opportunity to be on his show and share with his audience. I got to know Dan Miller. I got to know Guy Kawasaki. I got to know Chris Brogan. The list goes on and on and on. Aaron Walker taught me that it wasn't about the content. It was about the relationship. And that was really, really important lesson for me to learn because I'm an introvert. I prefer to stay to myself. I prefer to not make small talk and to start conversations with people I don't know. But I learned that even wired the way that I am and even comfortable the way that I am, I have to be willing to get out of my comfort zone, do something that is not natural to me, and take time to care about others, to learn from others, to share with others, and amazing things can happen. Guys, if you haven't been to a conference of late, in whatever field of endeavor you're in, you need to pick 1 or 2 out in the next year and plan on going. You have no idea who you're going to meet along the way and how they are going to impact your life. The 2 that I go to every year, aside from the retreats that Aaron hosts for the Iron Sharpens Iron mastermind groups that occur twice a year, are Social Media Marketing World and Podcast Movement. And I will have been to both of those conferences 4 years in a row. Every year, good things happen because I choose to invest in myself. I choose to step out on faith and go and let God work through the rest of the details. I hope this helps, guys. God bless you.
Thanks for listening. Check out our website, sowingseed.net, the Sowing Seed channel on YouTube, and if you got something out of today's podcast, give us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. Until next time, go plant the seed you need to succeed.